Are you feeling disillusioned because you try and you still see no results out of your students? Have you tried everything to motivate them and they still just don't care? Well, there is hope. The foundation and key to every kind of change is mindset. Successful teachers think differently. Successful students think differently. What is different? They have the excellence mindset. Find out what that is right now. Okay, the excellence mindset is made up of kind of smaller mindsets, if you will, and these mindsets have to do with building either rigor or positivity. Okay, rigor meaning the level of instruction, the academics. So I have about 5 that will. These are things that you need to keep in mind that have to propel your thoughts and your methods in your classroom. And these 5 will have to do with. I'm sorry, the 4 will have to do with building the rigor. Okay, the first component of the building the excellence mindset is having a goal. I did talk about it in the other video that you have to, everything you do in the class has to be propelled by a goal. I compared it to the Super Bowl, to the NFL versus just a football team that you play for fun in your neighborhood, like a club. It's a very different mindset. One game you're just playing for fun of the sport and to be with your friends and all of those things. If you're in the NFL, you've got a big goal. You want to win the Super Bowl. Everything you do is geared towards winning the Super Bowl. So every practice session, every game you play, all of those you've got in the back of your mind or in the front of your face, this overarching win, which is the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl and then winning the Super Bowl. Okay, and so the teams that get that far, they have had that focus the whole time. That's how it is in a high-risk classroom or a high-risk school. You have to know what the goal is, and you have to make sure you don't have time to waste. You can't be wasting time on things that are not very aligned with that goal. Okay, so you have to be goal focused and you have to have clear expectations from the beginning. The second piece to building the excellence mindset in the area of rigor is treasuring your failures. Your mindset that you have toward failure is just critical for these kids. They've failed a lot of times. They're going to fail a lot more times. So you want to focus on the growth until they're starting to meet the expectations and things like that. But you have to show them that their mistakes are their treasures. They have to learn to go to their errors, for example, their mistakes on a test. And you can always tell which kids are going to be successful and which kids are generally not. Because when you give them back the test, the kids who are successful are like, what? I missed 2, and they go in there, which one did I miss? And they will find it, they'll figure out why they missed that. They'll go argue with you if they think that you scored them wrong or they didn't understand. Those kids are persistent in finding out what was their misconception, why did they miss that question? And when they do that, they're never going to miss that question again. The other type of student that will get their test back and they might have missed 15 and they'll be looking through they'll just look and they'll say, I got a 50, and they'll just put it aside and start talking with their friends. So it's like they don't really care which ones they missed, or they have no idea what to do with the ones they missed. They don't know how to get better. So you get better on your scores by going to the mistakes and figuring out your misconceptions, okay? So the kids really need to be taught that it's not, you're not dumber than the other kids. It's not about the grade. The grades are just a measure of your progress. It's just data. Okay, so this is data, and you can compare yourself, but when you compare, you're comparing yourself today with yourself. How did you do last week? How did you do last month? So you're comparing to your prior self. And as long as you are going to those errors, and as long as you are doing all of this, many of the components for excellence, your data is going to be going on an uptrend. You might go up and down a little, but it's generally going to go up. It's not going to go down. Nobody learns things and gets dumber. You know, it's going to get better. So the kids have to learn to view their failures like that, and that the critical thing is not how many failures you've had or how badly you failed or whether you're at a 70 or a 50 or a 10 or a 0. Some kids start with 0, but it is about how many times you get back up again, how many times you go and you try hard. You want to keep the kids trying, you want to keep them invested. They can't leave your classroom feeling like a loser because they got a bad score. They have to be hopeful every day and every morning, so they approach the work with an open mind, ready to learn. Okay, so the third critical piece for having the excellence mindset is to model what you expect to see. Okay, I'm going to model it in everything I do. So if I want the kids to have a mindset of improvement and growth, I'm also going to have an improvement mindset. I will be looking for my own mistakes. If half of the class misses something or a question, I'm going to go back and reflect on my practice. Maybe even ask the kids, where did we go wrong on here? Let's reteach that. Maybe Ms. Fernando didn't teach it, though. Let me try this other way with you guys. And they'll watch you constantly trying to perfect your own practice, and that's what they're going to do. So you're modeling what you expect them to do, and even if they don't understand all those things you're doing, they will pick up on that mindset that you are constantly improving yourself, that you're looking for your mistakes and you're trying to fix your mistakes. Oh, Miss Fernando also makes mistakes, so okay, I guess everybody makes mistakes. This is the mindset. You don't have to be perfect. You definitely don't want to model perfection. You don't want to be afraid and hide all your mistakes from the kids, because then they're going to think you are perfect, you don't have mistakes or something like that, and that's not how it is. Of course, we're all full of mistakes. Let them see your mistakes and how you deal with your mistakes. How do you fix your mistakes? Do you still like yourself after you make a mistake? Do you still think you're smart after you make a mistake? Because they're going to model whatever you model, that's what they're going to emulate. That's what they're going to internalize. Okay, especially respecting the students. So if you want the students to respect you, you have to treat them with respect as well. Okay, could you please, can you keep your voice down over here in this group? Thank you. Not, y'all need to shut up. Yeah, hopefully nobody's saying that, but I know some of the schools where we have heard that. We shouldn't be telling the kids to shut up. We shouldn't be screaming, be quiet. Talk to them respectfully and nicely, because when you model that, it'll be very obvious if someone breaks out of that mode and starts to be rude to each other, right? Even friends. So you got to model what you expect to see. Okay, the fourth component for having the excellence mindset is high expectations. This is huge. You just have to believe in every student in your room. It's not that every kid can grow. I mean, I meet a lot of people now who believe that every student can grow. Yes, everybody's going to grow. Everybody's going to learn from somewhere. But are they capable? Is every student capable of high achievement? I think they are. And you've got to believe in every student. You cannot believe... You don't want them to believe what people have told them over the years, or how people treat them, or how they talk to them. You have to see them with new eyes. You have to believe in them. You have to see that diamond underneath the dust and the dirt. You have to see that inside them, no matter what their scores have shown before. Okay? And because the point is, when you see that and you believe in that student, they will then believe in themselves. And you seriously, I promise you, seriously, you could be the first person in this child's life who has ever believed in them. And they will get that from you. I've had kids tell me that before. One of my favorite comments was this little girl. She was teaching 5th grade, and she used to not have, I know she didn't have good grades before. I know she hadn't passed tests before. And so we were tracking the data, and she was steadily improving until she was regularly passing and sometimes getting mastery or advanced performance on her tests. And she said to me one day, she's like, oh yeah, that was last year that was when I was dumb. I got smart this year. And it was so cute, because that wasn't true. She wasn't dumb last year and she got smart. But she had learned to value herself. She learned how to view her grades and how to track her progress, and she knew where she was now. Last year she just lost, right? That's how she felt. But now this year she knows what is the goal. She knows where she is toward that goal. She knows how to improve and get there. So, she thinks she got smarter, but what she did is she had internalized that mindset. Okay, number 5. This one has to do with positivity. Okay, so the secret is you can push the kids hard to rigor. You can give them very challenging things, but there's like a constant fuel that has to be supplied to them in order for them to achieve high levels of learning. You're not expecting them to grow 1 year. You need them to grow 3 or 4 years maybe. So you have to constantly give them this fuel of positivity. Okay, and that's a mindset as well. You have to be constantly making sure that when you press the gas over here, you press the gas over here. Okay, and so number 5 is celebrations and recognition. You need to celebrate the milestones. So we have the goal, and then we have milestones. So especially celebrate their progress on the milestones. Don't be telling them grades don't count, or we're not really concerned about, don't pish posh, don't worry about the grades. That's a mistake that's made often when people just push the positivity without the rigor part. So you have to celebrate milestones, celebrate the growth, because you're probably not going to have a lot of kids who are meeting where they're supposed to be or mastering the content, but you're going to celebrate the growth that they've made. Or hey, we're going to reward everybody who beat their last score by 5 points today, or by any points. I usually do any points, for a while, until they realize that yes, they are growing and they're capable. Number 6 also has to do with a mindset of positivity. Number 6 is having consistent rewards or consequences. So it doesn't mean you have to reward every little thing, but it means to be consistent with your rewards. Maybe every Friday you reward kids who grew since their last assessment. Or maybe every time the kids read 5 books, you give them a reward or something like that. So build things in that they know are coming. The kids will work with. If it's just like here and there and it's sporadic, it's not something for them to work towards, because you've got that end goal in mind, but kids are younger and sometimes they need faster goals, right? They're not gonna, that's too far away for them to care about. You need to give them little, we talked about celebrating the milestones, but this is about being consistent with your rewards. Put it on your calendar, because it's very easy to get very caught up in all of the tasks and the rigor and the assignments and the content and think, oh, well, the rewards thing, that's not as important. We'll do that next week. We'll catch up. But you forget, if you're trying to do this at a high rate, a high level of rigor, it's going to drop for the kids. They're going to start getting stressed if you're not constantly refueling them with those rewards. Okay, and consequences, if you're going to give consequences, be consistent with those. You want to make sure that everybody gets the same, whoever achieves the same gets the same kind of reward. Whoever does not do something gets the same kind of consequence. For an example would be homework. Homework can be kind of tricky because really everything is not equal. Once the kids leave your school environment, you have no control over that anymore, and it's very difficult to tell sometimes exactly how much control a student has over their home environment, because sometimes they have everything they need and they're just not doing it because they'd rather play video games, or sometimes that's just our impression. There are things going on we don't know. Other kids, maybe they don't even have a home. Maybe they're homeless. Maybe they're working, that we don't know what's going on. Or maybe they're not getting enough sleep. Maybe they're hungry. A lot of things so you want to be really careful. I wouldn't punish for not doing homework. You could work around it somehow. You could give them some extra time in the morning to do it at breakfast time. They can come to your room early, or maybe they could stay a little bit after school, whatever you can do to support them. So I would definitely I would put a reward out there for kids doing their homework. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like an extra thing. Okay, but what I wouldn't do is you don't want to be inconsistent. So you don't want to hold this kid over here to, if they don't do their homework, they're going to have a consequence because you know that their mom works at the school with you and they've got both parents, or maybe one parent stays home, or they've got money, they drive a nice car. So you're going to expect them to do homework. But this other kid over here who has got, there's some drug problem at their house, and that kid is struggling to make, they're struggling to make ends meet, and so we're not gonna give that one a consequence, but we are gonna give this one a consequence. That's changing your expectations for the kids. So you don't want to do that, because that's going to send the wrong message. You want to be compassionate. You always want to remember what's going on and talk to, do what you can to ameliorate those problems that child's having. Like I said, have them come in during breakfast, have them do this, or just reward for homework. But when you give this one a consequence and you let this one off the hook, suddenly it's called the soft discrimination of low expectations, and you're starting to expect less of some of your kids because of the struggles they're going through. And that's really not a message you want to send to them, because that is lowering your expectations. Okay, so you want to have high expectations, and you want to be consistent with your rewards and consequences when you do that. Not discompassionate or uncompassionate, but consistent. That way you're sending the right message that you expect everybody to be doing those things. And if you don't expect them all to be doing it, then don't make it a requirement. Okay, and now finally, number 7 of building the excellence mindset is to keep a game-like, try to keep a game-like format whenever you can, or at least with frequency, because you can up the rigor even higher. You can make even more challenging things if you call it a game, or you make it like a game. And that just goes to show that when you push on this fuel of positivity and fun, you can also push up the rigor. Okay, so build in as many games as you can. You can play review games, you can play Jeopardy, you can play all kinds of things. But here's the trap on that one, is you want to make sure it should be 90% rigor and 10% game, not 90% fun and games and 10% rigor. And sometimes the games are set up in that way where, kids line up and each kid answers a question, you get the point, whatever. But if you're just asking one kid the question, then the rest of the line is probably not paying attention. There's no guarantee who's paying attention to that question. So it's possible, if it's a 30-minute game, each kid got to answer 1 or 2 questions, which is not very rigorous. That was mostly game. So try to make a multiple response strategy built in. Like every question, the kids have a dry erase board to write their answer on and then show it, or a notebook or a Kahoot, some kind of a clicker, something where every kid needs to grapple with every question, because now you've built a lot of rigor in, and then it's also fun too. So you're flipping that balance. So be careful with games, because some people are just playing games and there's not a lot of learning going on. But there is a really, it's a great thing to do if you can leverage the rigor in your classroom with that game. Okay, so keep a game-like format in your head, because these are kids and they're not adults who are going to sit through a long seminar just because they're so self-motivated all the time. Okay, so let's review one more time the 7 components to creating the excellence mindset. The 4 that have to do with rigor. Number 1 is have clear goals throughout the year with milestones. Number 2 is to teach them how to look at failure, treasure the failures. Number 3, model what you want to see. 4 is have high expectations for every student. Number 5, under the positivity, 5, we have celebrate and recognize achievement on the milestones. Number 6 was to have consistent rewards and consequences for your students. And number 7 is to play games. Okay, and so those are my 7 suggestions for building the excellence mindset. And again, this was part 2 of the series on creating a positive and effective classroom culture or climate. Go ahead and click on my next video, which is part 3. Part 3 is going to deal with building specific student skill sets that high-risk learners need. Okay, if you felt that this video helped you at all, please click the like button and subscribe to be notified of any future videos. If there are any topics you want to see, please add it to the comments below. Anything in teaching or anything related to these series, I can go deeper and deeper into any one of these until I give you a very clear steps to do. Okay. Please check out my other videos, especially the one I talked about, part 3, student skill sets in the series, and then also go back and check my the simple formula to high achievement. Okay, and so again, I want to thank you for everything you're doing, working with these high-risk learners, and I'll see you in the next video.